Hi folks, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's your latest tropical update on Hurricane Milton, the latest advisory out of the National Hurricane Center, pinning winds at 145 miles an hour. So although weaker than the 180 mile an hour winds, strong Category 5 that this was last night and yesterday evening, still a devastating hurricane for any place that gets impacted by it. Winds still gusting up to nearly 200 miles an hour. This is moving to the east-northeast at about 12, and the barometric pressure has come up a little bit as the storm has interacted with the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. You can still see the eye in the center of all of this, though, and it's still just an absolute beast of a storm. Look at this. It almost looks like, again, kind of the caricature of the hurricane icon here with the what we call the inflow coming in from the east and also from the west. So that's a sign of a very conducive atmosphere, not a whole lot of wind shear going on here. The only thing I think really limiting this is perhaps the shallower depths of the water and some of this land interaction as you get real close to the Yucatan Peninsula. But that is going to be moving away from the Yucatan today, so potentially could be picking up to a Category 5 once again. Again, this is a strong Category 4. Looks like it makes a final approach and landfall late Wednesday into Thursday morning, somewhere around or potentially just south of Tampa, Florida. Really going to be kind of a hair-thin impact scale here for Tampa, depending on where exactly this makes landfall. In this case, if it went just to the south of Tampa, that would force water out of Tampa Bay. That would help those folks a lot. If it moved to the north of Tampa Bay, that would force a lot of water into those nooks and crannies and very shallow waters around the Tampa Bay area, and that would be absolutely devastating. So again, this is kind of an hour by hour, minute by minute thing that we're going to have to follow as it moves closer to onshore. But either way, Category 3 or Category 4, major hurricane moving onshore, Florida Gulf Coast, impacts all the way from almost the Big Bend, but especially Tampa south as you head into Fort Myers. Even places like Key West could have some coastal flooding and storm surge flooding as well. And then this will move across the Florida Panhandle, exiting by later Thursday, and then eventually out into the Atlantic. Take a look at all the computer model tracks. I mean, they are clustered real close to Tampa here. If it takes a northerly tracks, that would be very, very bad for Tampa. Southerly tracks a little bit better, but still probably an impact by the eye wall and some of those major hurricane winds. Either way, it makes a quick trip across Florida on Thursday, moving over Orlando, Cape Canaveral, and then out to sea and turning extratropical. Look at all these tropical alerts, all the way from Cancun, Progreso, Mexico, and then up to the United States here. Most of the Florida peninsula here, either under a tropical storm watch, tropical storm warning, and of course the hurricane watches and warnings closer to where the center of that track is expected to go. Tampa to Cape Coral, all the way east to very close to Port St. Lucie. So the tropical alerts out for this now include storm surge warnings on both the east and west coast of Florida. The worst conditions are going to be here on the west coast of Florida. Again, really depends on exactly where this goes, but south and east of the track is where we're going to have the worst storm surge conditions. That's where we could see up to 12 plus feet of water coming onshore. Look at the wind field on this, just a monster. The eastern half of the Gulf of Mexico taken up by those winds up to and over 100 miles an hour. That impacts Tampa again starting tomorrow, going into tomorrow night and then Thursday, and eventually those hurricane force winds could rebuild all across the central Florida peninsula and then moving east across Orlando and away. And then we finally get the cleanup time. And this is just after Helene came through the Florida Panhandle. Thankfully, a cold front is going to keep this system from going north and up towards the devastated Appalachians and the devastated Big Bend. It'll just be a glancing blow for these folks. But some areas here around Tampa, not only did they see flooding rain, but anywhere from 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. And this could happen a repeat again, if not a little bit worse. Then on top of that, thankfully, again, this will be a fairly quick mover as it moves over Florida, picking up some speed, but still could have some flooding rains of 3 to 5, locally 6 inches there.